Hello and welcome, guys. Y'all already know what's going on. If you came here from the last video, that's right, we are 4-0. Really looking forward to getting this 5-0 if possible. I'll accept a 4-1 as well, but I must say it would be a little more exciting to share my first ever 5-0 on Magic Online with those of you at home watching this YouTube video on the YouTube website platform. That would be pretty cool. But let's not jump ahead of ourselves. Let's just try to get some Primeval Titans in play. I will see you guys in the games. I have to say, I'm a little bit feeling the nerves here. This would also be my first ever 5-0, 10-0 if we were able to take this match 2-0 like all the previous ones. That's a little too much pressure. I'm not going to try to put that on myself, but it would really make my day here to be able to produce a 5-0 on the channel for you guys. You can see what combination of luck and play patterns and skill ended up getting to that point. So hopefully all of this talking is not for naught. All right. Looks like we have our match. On the play. Come on, Magic Online. No, not even on the play. Play against Oli Oli. That's a ridiculous name. I like it though. This is an interesting hand. Any bounce land is quite good for this hand. We got a turn 2 Dryad, regardless of what we do here. No, I suppose we'd have to draw an untapped source for a turn 2 Dryad, but we can play a turn 1 Amulet or a Grazer depending on what our opponent's doing, and yeah, I think it's good enough. I'm willing to keep this. Although, we definitely need to top deck a few lands here, but you know what? We're playing like 30 lands in our deck anyways, so we'll get there. And they don't necessarily have to be green lands if we can keep our Dryad in play. That way we can activate Garenbrig the natural way. We're seeing the unfortunate occurrence of Cavernous Souls being little more than an unfortunate forest here. Turn 1 Breeding Pool tap to go makes me feel like this is more of a controlling deck, so I want to get this Amulet out first, I believe. Let's go ahead and name Nymph, though, so we can get this Dryad through some counter magic, potentially. Here goes the Amulet, and they can force it if they want. And the fact that they're paused here makes me feel like they might have it. Maybe they chose not to if they do have the force. I'm getting the feeling that this is a control deck, though. I don't really foresee, for example, Infect just playing turn 1 Breeding Pool tap to go. It's not really their forte, you might say. Um, Yeah, let's get this Garenbrig out of the way. We're definitely playing a Grazer here to get a land out. And that land, supposing we'll be able to put it into play and not just get remanded here, will be a Tolaria West to set up for potential transmuting if we draw a Growth Chamber, so that's it for me. Back to you. It's a little hasty to be thinking about, but we may want to cast Summoner's Pact at some point in the future here during our opponent's turn so that they can't use the alternate cost for their Force of Negation if they have it. Definitely something worth considering. That's a bounce land, which is pretty good. So we could transmute Tolaria West if we wanted to. I think if we're going for that line, the line would be to play Forest, get Dryad into play, and then transmute off of the Simic Growth Chamber. And that way we can have Pact of Negation for when we resolve this Summoner's Pact. Let's see, if we were to do that, then we would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think, mana worth of lands in play, so we would need to make sure we leave enough mana for us to pay for both the Summoner's Pact and a Pact of Negation, but it also works very well if we happen to draw a Primeval Titan naturally. We could also consider picking up this Cavern of Souls to be able to play Cavern Naming Giant, but I don't think that's going to be as good as getting Pact of Negation here, so let's do this. I guess we didn't necessarily have to use the Force as a land drop. We could have played another Tolaria West, but That's fine. Actually, we can pick up the Cavernous Souls here and still be able to transmute Tolaria West because we have the TOS in hand. That is interesting. Yeah, I think that's going to be a little bit better. Transmute. There we go. So we're getting blue packed here. Maximum protection here. If our opponent throws a Path to Exile at our Dryad, I don't know if that's something I'm interested in packing, to be honest. I kind of doubt it. They could also blow us out by just remanding their own path and making us have to pay for a pack negation and still pathing our Dryad anyways. So, not really into that one. Second Amulet doesn't do a whole lot here. I mean, I suppose we could play a Cavern and be able to play Amulet into Titan, but that would be without using the uncounterability. But regardless, we have enough tools here that I'm willing to go ahead and go for the Summoner's Pact here. They could have Force plus a counterspell, or they could have nothing and just let us get a Primeval Titan. Okay, so we'll name Giant here. We will activate our Garenbrig and get one of these uncounterable greens so we know for a fact that our Titan's going to resolve. So going for the haste is playing into Path. Right now, we only have one pack trigger to pay for. If we were to... And they could even just, like, have a Snapcaster for a Path if we were to try to Pact or Negation their Path. So I think I'm going to play around Path and not go for the haste here and try to set up for some value lands instead. So what I'm thinking is Field of the Dead, clearly, and a bounce land. If we got Gruul Turf, we could pick up the Gruul Turf itself. And that way, even if we... I guess we're not really going to be losing our Amulet by any stretch of the imagination. We probably don't need to worry about that. But that way, we would have another name for our Field of the Dead. We're definitely getting Field. The other one is the one that's a little questionable. We could get Valakut here, so that if they have a path, they are kind of split between whether they throw it at our Dryad or at our Titan here. But we want to have access to Tolaria West here in case they can't answer our Titan. So let's just get the Gruul Turf, I think. So we can pick up Bounce Land, so we have access to Bounce Land to go along with Dryad if we're able to get a Valakut into play, either by attacking or just by top decking a Valakut. Or then we could use the Gruul Turf to pick up and transmute Tolaria West, so... 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we should be able to pay for our pact here and still be able to transmute. It would be here, 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 and here, and then leaving these two up to transmute Tolaria West this upcoming turn if we wanted to. They do have the path. Okay. So we'll go ahead and get a basic land from that one, giving us an additional field trigger as well. They immediately scoop. Okay. Seems a little hasty to me, but I don't know. They knew what there was in their hand, and we didn't. So we'll bring in all the 1-drops here. Relic to combat Mystic, Sanctuary, and Uro, among other things. We can bring in not Dismembers, what am I saying? Beast Withins for Ashiok, potentially, and I don't mind that. I'm not a big fan of explosives, so we'll go ahead and cut that one. Definitely not bringing in the second one. We can trim grazers here, as speed is not really the element that we're looking for here. We can trim a Radiant Fountain, as I don't think it's likely to be relevant. It's not like they're playing a bunch of Vanillion clicks or anything like that in the sideboard, as it might have been common in the past. What else? Fierce Empath is not particularly strong, especially if our opponent happens to have Ashiok. So I'm kind of inclined to cut that one. I think that's what I'm going to try. I don't know if Fierce Empath is better than Summoner's Pact, though. But nah, we'll go this way. They've chosen to play first. We have a double Amulet hand, which is not actually fantastic in this matchup, but Veil of Summer seems like it could do some work here against like a mana leak or something, so we can resolve our Dryad through that. So I'll keep it. This hand does need some help though, but they mulligan to 6. They keep on 6, so that's good. For a real game here. There's a Titan. Okay, let's try to get an Amulet out on 1 here. If our opponent goes for like a Pact of... not Pact of Negation. That's the one I play. If they go for a Force of Negation, then that's fine, because we have Amulet as a backup here. The second one. It's possible we should have brought in the third Beast Within. I think we left the third one in the board. Let's see. Yeah, we do have the third Beast Within in the board, so maybe if we end up going to a game 3, it would make sense to have access to another one of that effect. So we could play second Amulet and Vesuva Crumbling Vestige to immediately get Dryad into play, but it plays really poorly into Mana Leak. If it gets remanded, I don't know if I care that much, but... Actually, I guess we need green sources here as well. It's kind of weird. Considering that we won't have a green source to be able to Veil of Summer in addition to the Dryad this upcoming turn, I think now is going to be better than never, so... We'll see what they do with this second Amulet. They may want to respond to it, they may not. Okay, I'm going for the Dryad, I think. It's 5 to make sure we don't have any yield set, so we don't get punked by our own Amulet triggers. This way, if we draw any bounce land, then we have access to a Titan this upcoming turn anyways, so... We'll see if they want to do something about it, and they don't, so... Here goes a Tolaria West. And we'll pass it back. This means that we have some kind of threat in underneath a potential Ashiok here, which is nice as well. Growth Spiral, you got it. Alright. Passing without Cryptic Mana is interesting on their side. Castle... That is Titan mana, actually, since we... No, it doesn't. It'll come into play untapped thanks to our Dryad ability, so we're still a turn away on the whole Titan thing. But I guess that means we're using this turn to set up our Tolaria West. I don't know, though, because if we transmute Tolaria West for Pact of Negation, then we'll have to top deck a land in order to cast our Titan. That might be fine, though. I think it would be better to have the Pact of Negation backup here. I don't know. Because Pact of Negation is the way that we would beat an Aether Gust, but they didn't Aether Gust our Dryad, so it's kind of a weird spot. I think we're supposed to transmute. We could also transmute for a bounce land here and try to go off. Maybe transmuting for a bounce land isn't that bad, although we won't be able to... Well, we'll float 8 mana, so we will have Veil of Summer back up. Plays really poorly into Aether Gust, however. and also into Ashiok. Like, if they Aether Gust and then Ashiok mill away our Titan, then it's really bad for us. But I suppose in the worst case scenario, we can use our last Growth Chamber trigger to pick up Talari West and have a Transmute available. So let's actually go for this line. If they want to path our Dryad here, then we'll just float some mana, pick up Talari West, and transmute it anyways. So, and then we'll have our double green to pay for a castle this upcoming turn, and we'll already have Pact of Negation ready to go. So, although we'll have to be able to pay for both Summoner's Pact and for Pact of Negation, but with double Amulet, I feel like it shouldn't be too difficult. Float here. We can actually pick up our Vesuva as well. I like that. We'll play the Vesuva as a Growth Chamber. That way we'll have even more additional blue and green sources in play. Let's pick up the Talaria West here. So we could just T-West for Blue Pact and pass, but I guess if we go for the Summoner's Pact, then we might potentially lose to Cryptic Command. Like, they could try to interact with it, and we Veil to protect it, and things just don't work out for us on this turn, and then next turn they just play Blue Source and Cryptic Command to bounce one of our lands, and that would be pretty awful, but I think I'm willing to go for it. Alright, Primeval Titan. We'll play it. Anything but an Aether Gust. That is what we're hoping for here. A moment of silence from our opponent, thinking about their options here. Again, they didn't gust our Dryad before, so if they have an Aether Gust, it's likely that they would have drawn it between the draw steps from that turn and now, so I really do think that this Dryad would not have been long for this world if they had the Gust. Well, they have the Gust, so we'll top this guy. For sure. And then if our opponent wants to try to beat us with Cryptic Command this upcoming turn, we can Veil to protect our land. So swing in for our value points of damage here. And they can't even protect themselves from our Veil here with like a force because they can't pitch during their turn. Sorry, opponent. We had it covered. We still have to play around Path to Exile here, potentially. I mean, it's not like we're going to be able to cast a Titan this turn anyways, so we've still got more of this game to play, but Pathing Dryad. Interesting. We could choose not to search here since we know we're top decking Titan. We do still have Talari West to transmute anyways, though, but let's not search. Okay. So we'll pay for this little pack trigger here. My opponent's on one card, so it's giving me hope, but still much to do. Alright, Growth Chamber means that we can transmute Talari West this turn. Yeah, I'm into it. It's not quite Titan, but that's okay. Let's see. So we could also transmute for a Grazer and leave 2 floating. No, we packed it out. We boarded out all the Grazers, so we can't Summoner's Pact for a Grazer here. And that, besides, that would leave us with 5 mana anyways, so let's just pick up a bounce land here. We'll get our Pact of Negation, since we no longer will have to be paying for our Summoner's Pact. That one's already gone. We got Natural Primeval Boy here, so... if they had something crazy like a Jace or a 5 Fairy here, we could always just Pact of Negation that one as well. I think it would be worth it tapping out this upcoming turn and not having the chance to resolve a Titan, potentially, if they were to tap out for a Planeswalker like that, but I don't know, we'll see. Hopefully we won't be in that position. That said, if for example, they play a 5 mana Teferi here, then I think we can beat either one counterspell or one path. I suppose it would be bad if they had like a path or like a remand or something, and yeah, we are not going to bother with this one. This one doesn't do anything. So, but what I was going to say is, if they potentially were holding at path plus a backup Force of Negation that they could pitch a blue card to, then we would be in trouble, but barring that, it might be fine to just try to attack their Planeswalker down with the Titan, so... I mean, I guess Teferi turns off our Pact Negation, but that's not going to stop me from jamming this Titan anyways. If they want to bounce an Amulet, then... I don't know, I might not even replay it, to be honest. It's way better to have the opportunity to jam Titan this upcoming turn than to try to pack the little Teferi, so... Bye-bye, Amulet. And a Field of Ruin. That's interesting. I don't think that one does anything either. I definitely don't think main phasing this field was particularly great from our opponent. I wonder if they have another planes to search for to even represent Path to Exile here either. I guess they could potentially, like, Spell Pierce us or something. Let's see, we'll get a Snow Basic since they have a regular one in play. They found Basic Island. Okay. I think we're pretty much good to go here. We could just play Garenbrig and Titan right off, or we could go for the Amulet and Growth Chamber line. We already have one Amulet in play, though, and it's not like we get any benefit from having the second Amulet to, like, double haste or anything. Like, with the Stronghold build, we would... A Stronghold? Is that a thing that we can call it now? With the Slayer's Stronghold build, you would get an additional 2 points of damage by having the Amulet out, but here, we don't really get any real benefit, so... Alright! Oh my goodness! Look at that trophy! And on top of it, hold on. That's right, we managed to go 10-0 in this league. First trophy ever. First 10-0 ever. Oh, and the last matchup was a Bant control deck. Those are typically what I would call bad matchups. So, woo! Man, just take a moment to celebrate that, guys. That's awesome. That is fantastic. Well, I would say that it was well fought. Great games from my opponents, especially in that last match there. I think maybe firing off the Field of Ruin was a little preemptive, but regardless, they were just in a bad spot there anyway. So I don't know. Let me know what you guys think about the entirety of this league, about the deck list. We barely got to use the Relic of Progenitus, which is interesting to me, and the Veil of Summer definitely proved a worthy inclusion there in the last match. But yeah, I don't know, maybe you'll see my username come up in the 5.0s at sometime soon. Who knows? Keep an eye out, although, to be honest, this will probably come out after the 5.0s get published. I don't know exactly how that works, so we'll see, we'll see. Maybe I'll move it forward in my scheduling. Regardless, hey, first 5.0 ever. I'm more than happy to share it with you guys. Remember to leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Put your feedback in the comments below. We are officially a 5.0 channel now. Anyways, this is Redface Menace, signing off.